This man's four daughters were buried beneath the ocean, and somehow his wife was rescued alive. And from that very unimaginable pain, the ship passed over the very place his children had died. This is a true life story of Horatio Spafford. He was born in New York. He eventually moved to Chicago, where he became a very successful lawyer. But Horatio wasn't just a businessman. He was deeply involved in Christian work. He was a church elder. He taught Sunday school, he participated in prayers, and also held revival meetings. He was also a poet and was interested in writing hymns. So Christianity wasn't just something that existed on the edge of Horatio's life. Christianity was part of his life. He had his life, he had his career, and most importantly, he had his family. Horatio married Anna in 1861, and together they began building a family in Chicago. Eventually, they had four daughters. In fact, Horatio's home became a place where Christian leaders, reformers, and every other person who were connected to his work always gathered and worked together. But then, Chicago changed everything. In October 1871, the Great Chicago Fire swept through the city, and Horatio was financially affected by the devastation. He had invested so much in real estate in order to grow the city, and this fire destroyed almost everything he had invested in. Just imagine working for so many years in order to build something, and then watching circumstances beyond your control take everything away. But this financial tragedy wasn't the only thing Horatio's family experienced during this period. They also lost their young son. So even way before the shipwreck happened, Horatio and his wife had already experienced the death of a child. But however, they kept going. And in 1873, they decided to take a trip to Europe. Their friend Moody was going to be preaching in England, and the family decided to travel all together. But then, at the last moment, Horatio was delayed by business, so Anna and the four girls went alone, even though Horatio intended to join them later on. And that very decision changed their lives forever. Anna boarded the French ocean liner Ville du Havre with her four daughters, Annie, Maggie, Bessie, and little Tanetta. Now let's take a moment to think about that. The mother, her four daughters, probably excitement, probably plans, probably conversations about what they are going to see when they get there. But nobody knew they were sailing towards tragedy. And on the 9th of November 22, 1873, the ship collided with another vessel right in the middle of the Atlantic, and the ship was badly damaged. It sank rapidly. The Library of the Congress records that 232 people died, while 87 people survived. This was including Horatio's wife, Anna, but his four daughters did not survive. Just a moment ago, a mother was surrounded by her four daughters. When that disaster struck, people were trying their best to escape. Everything was all happening at once. Even Anna tried to get her daughters to safety, but the disaster happened so quickly that there was almost no time. Imagine a mother opening her eyes after surviving something like that and then realizing that all her four daughters are gone. That is so devastating. Anna eventually reached Wales with other survivors, and she needed to tell her husband what had happened. But how do you put something like that into a message? How do you tell a father that his four daughters are all gone? There was no long explanations. The message that arrived in Chicago was a telegram, and according to research, the original telegram still exists, and it says, "Saved alone. What shall I do?" Just take a moment to think about Horatio receiving such message. His wife was alive, but his four daughters were all gone. Horatio did what every husband will do. He went to his wife. Horatio boarded another ship, and now he was the one crossing the Atlantic. But this wasn't a holiday anymore. He was going toward his grieving wife. And somewhere during the journey, the captain told them something that must have been so unbearable. They were approaching the place where the ship had gone down, the very place where his four daughters had died. And somewhere in that journey, something happened inside Horatio. The the words of a hymn came together, and that was how the popular hymn "It Is Well With My Soul" came about. He wrote, "When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrow like sea billows roll." Now listen carefully to this wording. When sorrow like sea billows roll. He wasn't writing about a small inconvenience. He had just lost 4 daughters, and he was traveling across the very ocean they had died, and yet he was writing about peace. And then came the words that has lived for generations. "It is well with my soul." But what does that mean? Does it mean he wasn't hurting? Does it even mean Christians are not supposed to grieve? Absolutely not. In fact, his entire story tells us the opposite. He grieved, he suffered, he lost, but however, he was still talking about peace. Now, this tragedy changed Horatio and his wife so deeply. Their religious beliefs developed in another direction. They began meeting with a new set of believers which were known as overcomers. In fact, their faith increasingly focused on the second coming of Jesus Christ. He believed that even when his circumstances was completely broken, his relationship with God would still remain intact. Even though his life wasn't well, even though his heart was so hurting, he still had the confidence to say something. "It is well with my soul." Dear beloved, I don't know what exactly you're going through right now. I just want you to place your hand on your chest and say this: "It is well with my soul."